Hello, my sweet summer children. Your mother is back with some juice to get you through the long night. Lone wanderer on the trackless sky, companionless, say doust thou fly, along thy solitary path, a flaming messenger of wrath, warning with thy portentous train of earthquake, plague, and battle pain. Some say that thou dost never fail to bring some evil in thy tale. When we first see the red comet, it is when Daenerys hatches her dragons from stone. She takes the comet as a sign that she must step into the flames, and she does. But real world history has a very different view of comets, and we know our author George R.R. Martin is an avid history buff. And we know he has used history and mythology and real world juice to help him write this A Song of Ice and Fire series. As far as humans go back, comets were feared. They were omens of doom. Our author has a great way of tricking the reader. Daenerys was pregnant and she lost her son, the stallion who mounts the world. She had to lose her son to bore her dragons, and it was the red comet that she took as a good sign. It's basically an end of the world prophecy in Christianity. We have a passage that reads like this: "And there was seen another sign in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of the heaven, and cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to be delivered, that when she should be delivered, he might devour her son." Does that not sound like Daenerys when she birthed her dragons? If I included every time throughout history or mythology or in different religions that a comet was tied to some disaster, birth, or significant event, then we would be here all day. St. Peter Josephus recorded the nightly appearance of a comet over the city of Jerusalem just before the war which ended in destruction of the holy city. Beta the Venerable declared in the 17th century England that comets portend revolutions of kingdoms, pestilence, war, winds, or heat. And many other people agreed. John of Damascus had the same belief. St. Thomas Aquinas believed it too. Albert the Great, one of the most noted saints during the Middle Ages, whose works are frequently referenced when you think theology, astrology, alchemy, zoology, and about every other ology ever, he had the same doctrine that a comet was a bad omen. Sacred books of India preach the same. Ancient yearbooks of China tell the appearance of comets and the disaster they foretold. King Louis of France died from fear of a comet. Sacred legends of Judaism have the belief that the Star of Bethlehem is a comet that will herald the coming of a Messiah. Comets are tied to many people that changed history: Charlemagne, Merlin, Moses, Henry Tudor, Pontius Pilate, Alexander the Great, and the Peloponnesian War that lasted almost 30 years. Sparta obliterated Athens while a comet hung in the sky. However, William the Conqueror ended the reign of the Anglo-Saxon King Harold and took England by conquest after he saw a comet and took it as a good sign, and its presence is depicted on the Bayeux tapestry. So now that I've taken you through a little history and knowing our author's love of history, why would we think this comet is a good sign? That it would bring forth something good? It won't. Also, our author is a self-proclaimed atheist, which in a nutshell means he doesn't believe in anything greater than ourselves. He doesn't believe in an afterlife. He doesn't believe in the end of the world. He doesn't believe in the end of the world prophecies or any messiahs or any saviors. In different Abrahamic religions or just religions in general, we are told of prophets and saviors and liberators and life after death. Many different religions have their different beliefs, and I think George R.R. Martin has drawn from all of them and scattered them throughout his story. When you look at Westeros and Essos as a whole, there are prophecies of such heroes. We have the most popular, which is Azor Ahai, which is believed to be the prince who was promised. We have the stallion who mounts the world. The Rhonish have a hero. The Yetish have a legendary hero. Westeros has the last hero. It's unclear whether all of these saviors are all the same or derived all from one prophecy. And because of this, it actually makes me think that if the red comet was the bleeding red star of the Azor Ahai prophecy, then Azor Ahai may just be a myth, like some kind of Raholar mythology, and Azor Ahai's occurrence is not likely. Its occurrence is as likely as Ragnarok was for the Vikings. And if the Azor Ahai prophecy is real, then its occurrence may not bring something good. Knowing our authors' backgrounds and belief, if we take Revelations and the horsemen of Revelations and the trumpets of Revelations and the signs of the end of times, there have been many times throughout history where we thought this time was upon us, and in actuality it wasn't, which could be the same in this world that George R.R. Martin has made very realistic. Daenerys took the red comet as a good sign. She interpreted it like a conqueror, like William the Conqueror. Then she followed the comet through the red waste and into Qarth, sort of like the wise men following the North Star across the desert. So for her, this comet could have been a good omen or not, because we don't know what balances the birth of dragons offset. Let's take a look at some of the other characters and what was going on with them when the comet streaked across the sky. In Dragonstone, Maester Crescent observed the blood-red comet from his balcony. He knew it was a bad omen, but he wasn't sure what it meant. He had just received a white raven that the longest summer in living memory, 10 years, 2 turns, and 16 days had came to an end. Dalla told Shireen she heard Melisandre tell Selyse that it was the dragon's breath. Stannis is preparing for war. Melisandre sees victory in the flames. Selyse is pumping Stannis' head up, saying the comet means he is supposed to sail from Dragonstone like Aegon the Conqueror and conquer. She also says that Melisandre has looked into the flame and seen Renly's death. Maester Crescent tries to poison Melisandre but ends up poisoning herself. So on Dragonstone, the red comet brought nothing but death, false prophecy, kinslaying, the end of summer, and war. In King's Landing, it's Joffrey's name day, and Sansa notices the comet. Some people call it King Joffrey's comet, some call it the Dragon's Tail. People are saying red for the Lannisters. It was sent to herald Joffrey's ascent to the throne and his triumph over his enemies. On this day, Tyrion arrived at King's Landing to become Hand. For the people in King's Landing, the comet brought war, hunger, summer's end, a bastard boy king to rule them all, death and war on the Blackwater. In Winterfell, Shaggy Dog and Summer are howling at the comet. Summer's howls were long and sad and full of grief, but Shaggy Dog's were more savage than that. Osha said the comet meant blood and fire and nothing sweet. Septon Shale said it was a sword that swept the season, beings as they received a white raven as well. Summer is over. Old Nan, the smartest of them all, had more of a singular answer. Dragons. The hounds in the kennels barked furiously. Horses kicked in their stalls, and Maester Lewin had sleepless nights. The wolves know more than we think they know. Bran recalls the wolves howling in grief when he fell, and when he was in a coma, and when Robb left for war, they howled in mourning. They howled the night the raven brought the words of his father's deaths. The wolves had known, and Bran wondered as they howled at the comet who they were mourning now. At Castle Black, Jon and the Night's Watch were preparing to go beyond the wall. The Night's Watch had dubbed the comet Giorah's torch and said it was sent to lead them through the haunted forest, and we know how that ended. In the Riverlands, Robb is refusing to trade Jaime for Arya and Sansa, but he has sent peace terms to Cersei. He has also went against Catelyn's advice and is making one of the biggest mistakes yet in sending Theon to treat with Balon. Some of the Blackfish's men call it the Red Messenger. The Great John says the comet is the red flag of vengeance for Ned. Edmure thinks it means a great victory for Riverrun. He sees a fish in the tail and the Tully colors red streaked across the blue sky. Catelyn wonders if the crimson is for the Lannisters. That thing is not crimson, nor Lannister red. That's blood up there, child, smeared across the sky. Our blood or theirs? Was there ever a war where only one side bled? We know how that ended as well. So this comet was viewed by almost the whole damn cast of Game of Thrones and interpreted differently by all of them. We know that the comet's tail left evil, death, war, bloodshed, kingslaying, kinslaying, houses rose and fell, battles were won and wars were lost, kings were slaughtered, and the trident was red with blood. We know Melisandre thought it was the sign of Azor Ahai, but let's put this prophecy in perspective. If the comet is in fact the red star bleeding sign of Azor Ahai, then Azor Ahai will bring nothing but revolution, pestilence, war, heat, and wind, and it's likely that Azor Ahai is a myth that doesn't even matter, and that the saviors of Westeros will be no messiahs, no prince of promised prophecy, no heroic legends of past lives, no champions of the great other or champions of the Lord of Light, just humans surviving, just humans evolving, and just humans changing the world. I hope you guys like this video. I love history and the realism that is inside of this magical world of ice and fire. I am so curious to know your thoughts on the Azor Ahai prophecy. Do you think it means anything, or is it just stuff that's passed down through legends and told from generation to generation? Do you think Azor Ahai, the being, is a good or evil entity, or an entity at all? Do you think this red comet was the bleeding star of the Azor Ahai prophecy? As always, thank you for watching. Please like this video if you like it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can become a sweet summer child. Okay, my sweet summer children.